It does not take more than 2 interviews to figure out if somebody is a good candidate. Stop wasting people's time. More than 2 interviews is really redundant. Like, the first interview should really be on Teams, okay? After that, I need to figure out, okay, you good, I like you, now let me pass you on to the next person. Recruiter, director, those are the only 2 interviews that need to take place. There is no reason that candidates should be interviewing for 4, 5, and 6, 7 interviews. Like, please, in 2025, 2 interviews max.
I just had to do a 45-minute long presentation for my 6th interview for this company. Every interview that I've had previously has been an hour long. This process has taken me 2 months with this specific company, and it took me 30 hours to put together the presentation that I had to do today. So, if I do not get a job offer, I give up.
All jobs that pay under 100K should be less than 2 interviews. Let me meet somebody in HR, recruiter, whatever. Let me meet the hiring manager, whoever I directly report to, and you guys make that damn decision. Why are we wasting each other's time? One of my friends, he had to do 4 rounds of interviews and also had to do a case study on top of that to present to a panel. You would think he was interviewing to be CEO. This job paid $65K. A job that doesn't have direct reports, you don't have anybody under you, should not be a drawn-out process. Unless that you are responsible for so much workload, but in that case, you probably are being compensated more than $100,000. And the funny thing about all of these interview processes with 4 or 5 interviewers, it's literally just you repeating the same shit to at least 3 of them until it gets to the final person. Let's condense these interviews, stop wasting each other's time, money, resources, and just hire people.
In today's business and financial news, let's discuss how many interviews are enough or appropriate for a role. How many interviews are you willing to endure to get the job? At what point is the employer leading you on? Does the salary and benefits influence the amount of interviews you're willing to endure? Likely. Let's give you an example. For context, the following process has been over a period of 3 weeks. So the company and the hiring team are moving in a timely manner. So first you apply for the role, and then they send you an online assessment. It's kind of like a survey to ensure that you're a good fit for the role and to understand what you're looking for when it comes to the role. So that only takes you about 10 minutes to complete online. Not a big deal. And then the team reaches out to you and they invite you for a phone interview with HR and the hiring manager. So within a few days, you complete that as well, just a 30-minute phone interview. Then they invite you to a group interview, and they give you an assignment to complete, of which you will present during your group interview. So you have about a week between the time they invite you to the group interview to the time that the interview occurs. And during that time, you take a few days to work on the assignment, so you'll be ready for your presentation, and that assignment literally takes you several hours to complete. Let's say the assignment takes you 15 to 20 hours to complete it. So then you go to your group interview, and it's a group panel interview. There are 6 leaders of cross-functional teams that you're presenting to, and you go ahead and present your presentation, and then they ask you some questions as part of the panel interview. You ask them some questions, and it goes well from your perspective. Great, you've completed all those steps. At the end of your panel interview, HR says there will actually be a 3rd interview. And you think, really? Not because you are above 3rd round interviews, but because you presented everything they should need to make a decision. Do you continue on to the 3rd interview? Or do you suggest the company make a hiring decision based on what they already know of you and what you have delivered? Remember, all of that was over a 3-week period. So again, the company and the hiring team are moving in a timely manner. Perhaps your 3rd interview would be with someone of the C-suite. So maybe the CEO of the company and or the HR leader. Would that make any difference to you at this point? Maybe you think 3 interviews aren't a big deal and you'd be more than willing to go into the next interview round. Also, please be willing to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're just a lone channel inching our way to 1,000 subscribers, and we need you.
You're joking. You're joking. I understand that having multiple interviews can seem annoying, but I want to offer a different perspective for you to help you through this process, because a lot of companies that offer good salaries, good benefits, things that you actually want in your job, those do require multiple interviews, and you have to be okay with that. Personally, I love when companies make you go through multiple interviews, at least 2 of them, because it means that they're actually like vetting through the people that they want to hire. They're not just going to hire a bunch of bozos. You're not going to have to take on the work of your coworkers, because they're actually hiring qualified, good people to work there. Another reason why you should love having multiple interviews is because interviews are a two-way street. So as much as they are getting to know you and deciding if they want to work with you, you should be getting to know them and the company during the interview and deciding if you even want to work there. Another reason I love having multiple interviews for one position is because you get to know the leadership. And that's really important, especially for people who don't like to be told what to do. So the fact that you're having multiple interviews means that you're going to meet with multiple people in leadership, multiple people who are in senior level roles most likely. So you can get to know the company through those people and how they operate. You'll get to know those managers' core values, what they stand for. How will you get to know these things? Because you're going to uncover them by asking them during the interview.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Stop with the shenanigans.
Eventually, companies will learn. I am so sorry, but unfortunately our candidate ended up accepting another offer in the time it took to get through the interview process. What? What happened? I thought we were their first choice. You absolutely were. They loved your culture and everything you're building. Well, how did we end up losing them? It took 5 weeks to get through your interview process. Then you kept them waiting another 2 weeks while you continued to interview other candidates. They figured out the feeling wasn't quite mutual. Another company made them an offer after 2 interviews and 2 weeks. If you take too long, you will lose candidates. You will lose applicants. One, because quite frankly, there are other places hiring out there. And if you take too long, they will just go somewhere else. And a lot of that is through need. If somebody needs a job, if they're actively looking, they don't have time to wait 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks for you to interview all of these people and get back to them, have another interview. They need to get through the interview process, find out if it's a yes or a no, and then either move on with the job or move on to other opportunities. People aren't going to wait for you forever, and you can't be mad that you missed out on a candidate you liked because you dragged your feet.
If you have to go to more than 3 to 4 interviews for a job, don't take the job. Run now while you can, because that usually means that they don't have an organized structure for a hiring process. And 9 times out of 10, your onboarding process is just going to be just as long, unorganized, and unproductive. A lot of people come to me, they're like, oh, well, I did this interview with this person, then I did an interview with that person, then I'm gonna go to the board of VP, and then I'm meeting the committee, and then I'm meeting, the executive's daughter and taking her out to lunch. I'm sorry, if you have to do more than 3 interviews with different people, and they are not within like a week time frame, if it's longer than a week in between these interviews, it's mostly because they have an unorganized hiring process. And that is a good example or a good sign that the job itself will be unorganized and unstructured.
So back to you. After how many interviews with one company is it too many? Or maybe it's never too many until you get the job offer? Let us know in the comments. That's all for now. Thanks for listening. See you soon.